This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Gaspers could be on for another perfect season. It's been an astonishing string of wins, and though he failed to attend 2 rounds, the drop weeks allow him a perfect score. If tough tracks like Sebring and Bathurst couldn't stop his tear, maybe Montreal could be what trips him up. This narrow Canadian street course is known to show no favors to champions, as demonstrated by its most famous wall. We'll see whether or not David adds his name to the list or continues his winning streak as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Steph, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve has one thing in abundance: chicanes, chicanes, and more chicanes.
Exactly true, and to be honest, they're not taking away from the fun, but much rather adding to it. 14 turns and one big straight mark out this 2.71 miles of tarmac. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a Formula 1 venue for the past 41 years, and always unforgettable will be that win by him in the first ever Grand Prix on the Ile Notre Dame in 1978. However, today we're not here with the Formula 1, but much rather with the Spec Racer Ford, and these guys will off the curbs they put here, high and wide, and that's exactly how you want to tackle them. Enter wide, hit them high, and let that momentum carry you through the turn. However, to get a much better look at how to race in Quebec, let's take you trackside with a lap around in our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Montreal. Down into the Senna S. While this will see some overtakes, it's very tough to get it done unless your nose is well ahead of the other car in the braking zone. Honestly, in the SRF, this is a tricky set of corners overall, where you might find it's easy to spin the car. Power off the corner as soon as you're confident you can apply the throttle, and then we head towards turn 3. Passing into here is a lot less common, and it's one of the less talked about corners when it comes to danger, because that exit wall is right there to collect you. It just isn't as famous as some of the other spots around this circuit. You can stay flat out through 5, but you'll need to make sure and hold to the right for a better line into turn 6. It's going to be tempting to chop off that red section inside the curb, but it upsets the car horribly. Keep the car planted and get back on the gas very early, because this leads onto the Riverside stretch. Drivers will find they can get a bit of a draft along here even if they haven't outgunned their opponent. But if you're side by side as you come into the braking for turns 8 and 9, be wary. The curbs to the inside are way too tall for this car to handle, and if you hit them too hard, it'll bounce you around so much you'll spin out. Yet again, watch out for the understeer so that you don't plow into the concrete wall, and now we fly towards Lapingle. This is a popular place for overtakes to happen, not just because it's a very sharp hairpin, but because it's the only braking zone on the whole track that isn't a chicane. But avoid the temptation to brake too late, since it'll be pretty easy to enter the corner way too hot. At that point, all your opponent has to do is pull an over-under and fly past you again along the backstretch. And a good exit off the hairpin is really what matters here because of how long this straight is. You're already going to get a huge slipstream, and on top of it, you've got another big braking event into the final chicane. Again, stay off those huge white curves, and here it's especially important. The Wall of Champions plays no favorites, and you wouldn't be alone in taking an embarrassing trip to the barrier. Now that we've come back to the pit straight, it's a drag race to the line where hopefully you've now finished a lap around Montreal. As one of my favorite bands likes to say, welcome to Canada, it's the Maple Leaf State. Well, right now we've got a race ready to happen in what is not a state but a country, and it's brought to you, of course, by Sim Stickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk, where they could help out and get your sim rig up to its proper labeled self. Now, we've got a championship, of course, that we're covering, and it's pretty one-sided naturally because, as I said, David Gaspers has yet to lose a race that he's attended. 611 points means that he has got 63 markers back to Daniel Sadro. Sadro can still come back to things because he's gotten a string of second places in the middle of the season, but he's going to have to start beating David, of course, if he really wants to get a championship, which he has yet to do, but Gaspers has done multiple times. From there on back, you've got Elson, Juracek, and Makarivi, with really only Miroslav and Jerry close to one another. They have an amateur championship in this series, so let's head over to Steph and cover that.
Well, Joe, Hugh Haycox is leading that one with about 263 points behind David Gaspers, just for reference there. He himself, though, has 348 points, which means Edward Doherty in second place is only 14 points away from him. 3 points away from Edward Doherty, that's Bob Kern in third place, and then we already have a little bit of a gap once again to Nico Schuk in fourth place, 39 points behind, and then Dominic Bureau once again a little bit of a gap down there in fifth place, 62 points. So yeah, even though a little bit spread apart in the overall standings, those Spec 2 drivers are very close in class.
Now, if you've never watched the Weekend Warriors before, let's give you a little rundown here on the race details. We are in round 10 out of 12, and they're open setups on these cars. However, even though the real Spec Racer Fords don't generally take pit stops in a race, they've limited the fuel so that you do need to come in and refuel to finish this one. This 40-minute race has points rationed from 100 to first, and no matter how many drivers show up, it'll always be 25 points for last so that you don't take advantage, essentially, of a smaller field unfairly. They also have penalty points that they hand out in case you get too many incidents. There's a lot of places where you can get off tracks with these chicanes, and those could rack up here. But really, your bigger concern is the slowdown penalties. They have a fast repair as well, which means there's a spare car waiting for them if they get damage and they feel they need it. Considering you need straight line speed here in a few places, that could be necessary even if you get a small bit of damage. Now, as always, you're watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's very simple to do so. If you go to their YouTube page or just below this video in YouTube, click on the big red button that says subscribe and you won't miss a moment here on IESN. Also, don't forget to check out our GSRC merchandise store. We've just recently opened this up, and one of the things we offer is a t-shirt, and there's two different varieties of that. Now, the white t-shirt on this one is actually perfect to camouflage you in the snow from polar bears. This will be fantastic, especially if you're up here in the north, hanging out here in the winter. So make sure and snag one of those and keep yourself safe from polar bear attacks, or else you may just regret it in the future. Now, right now in qualifying, Daniel Sadro has the provisional pole. I do not see David Gaspers here yet. We're used to him showing up a little bit late. I'm getting a little concerned, though, Steph.
Well, maybe he actually isn't racing this one. This might be, I don't know, the first time after, I think, the first race where he isn't attending, where he didn't say if he will attend or not. Or maybe we have missed that and he's actually said that he isn't attending. So yeah, we will see. He still has about 7 minutes to enter this session, but I think we're not going to see him here today.
The last round he missed was Road America. That was round 3. And as we mentioned, we are in round 10 right now out of our 12-week season. 6.5 minutes left to go. We tend to see drivers try to use these cars for drafting to pick up a little bit of pace. Is that a feasible strategy at this track with all the chicanes splitting up those straights?
Well, the straights themselves are still quite long. Obviously, the start-finish straight, and then after the the second chicane, that is also quite a long one, and then obviously to Lapingo. So, and then obviously also the last straightaway up to the last chicane where the Wall of Champions sits. So yeah, the straights are still quite long. Maybe especially in the midfield in qualifying, these guys can pick up about 2-3 tenths there, but in the top 10, I don't expect these guys to really go for that strategy, because it can hold you up quite a bit if you are behind the wrong person.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. If you have someone who isn't as confident as you through those chicanes. We mentioned Sadro on the provisional pole, but we also have a Spec 2 pole, and right now that is going to Hugh Haycox. Not much separating himself and Dominique Bureau, who is still out on track right now in second in that Spec 2 field in qualifying, about 1.5 tenths. And Dominique's coming up to Lapingo right now with nobody to tow him. But let's see if he can get these last few corners in the last braking zone as good as he can to try and get a quick one in. This race should be a little bit of a difficult one. We've, of course, had another race earlier this morning with the Lotus 79s at the other Canadian track here that we have on the service up at Mosport. And that ate up a lot of cars. This one certainly has a lot of very close barriers, and we're expecting attrition to potentially play a little bit of a part as Bureau cleaned through the last chicane. Let's see what he's got underneath him this time through. His quickest was a 56.9, and then he's had a couple laps with offs here. This one is going to be a 2:04.3, so it must have been either an outlap or a bit of a slow one for him.
Yeah, and that last chicane is probably going to be the main focus point for crashes. Mostly just going a little bit too harsh over that first set of curb and then spinning yourself out right into that Wall of Champion.
Looks like Donald Fitterer is back to race again. Glad to see him joining us once more. Still not seeing David Gaspers out here today. Even if he doesn't show up, this is still his third drop week, as I do believe they have 3 drop weeks that are counted in this series, so he can retain that perfect score. But it does offer an opportunity for Sadro to maybe catch him a little bit, since it puts Gaspers under the gun to not have a bad result.
I mean, let's be honest, if Gaspers has a bad result, he still finishes second place.
Yeah, a lot of times that is his bad results around here. It's been impressive the way he's come from the back multiple times this season as well. So So Gaspers has been looking for a challenge, and he's given himself one, but he's responded well to it as well. Ooh, I see Hugh Haycox is out to respond to Dominique Bureau to keep him from getting any closer. So those two could potentially swap that lead back and forth. We talked about the curbs around here. This car generally doesn't seem to like tall ones and bouncing around and whatnot, but in a lot of cars it seems like to go fast you kind of have to be a little aggressive on the curbs. Is there a balance there with these cars, or is it just keep away from them?
No. There is no balance in this car, but to be fast, you still have to tackle them. You just have to as I said, you have to enter wide the turn and then really cut at those curbs and then really hit them high and fast, because otherwise you are gonna get thrown away too much. So either hit them fully or don't hit them at all. But if you don't hit them, you're gonna lose like a tenth or even more, because you don't have as much momentum through those chicanes as the others that go for those curbs.
Now we've got 41 drivers signed up, but only 40 are currently out in the server. I do not see Billy Bob Wright having returned yet as we ride on board with Jerry McReevy, who himself has a little bit of damage on the left side of his SRF. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him too much. But the main reason I bring up the number of cars is because damage like that, well, we could see a lot of it out there today. It's a packed field. It's a narrow track. There's not much room for escaping. Sort of like what we saw with Bathurst. I feel like there's a worry potentially, Steph, of having a track blockage on the first lap.
If that happens at the sticker Gilles Villeneuve, then I would be actually extremely surprised. Because the track itself is still very wide, as Jerry McReevy has a little bit of a tumble there through the third chicane that's turn 8 and 9, leading up to Le Pingle.
Yep, and that's going to end his qualifying because there's not enough time to get back around to start a new lap. Sadro still on the pole, and actually by a whopping 0.4 of a second. Is he going to complete this lap, or is he going to abandon it? Looks like he's going to try and finish it out, and he'll get time for one more around if he wants to increase his gap, just to make sure that he is well safe and can take this pole. He comes to the line, and it's not quicker. Still a 55.9, his fastest, the only driver to creep into the 55s here in qualifying.
Yeah, as you said, 4/10 there between Daniel Sadro and Gary McReevy, so not looking good for the others right now in a race pace. Maybe that changes, but yeah, Sadro most definitely right now the guy to catch.
Checkered flag comes out, so who's going to be the first to take that flag? I do believe Adam Bradshaw will be crossing the line from 21st position. Does he improve? No, he does not. He stays put. Up next, Paolo Bream. See him coming up, followed by Kip Stevens, who joins us. I feel like he may have raced here before, but if he has, it's been a long time. Used to see him in the MX5 World Tour. Bream did improve, and he jumps up to 23rd, but Kip does not. Brett Holton currently sitting in the 4th spot, the highest to be able to try and challenge Sadro. He goes quicker, but it's only a 56.1. Still, that is good enough for second place and brings it to within 2.5 tenths of Sadro now. Up next, I see Wayne Walker, who is in 38th. A lot of room for improvement with a 2.8 currently under his belt. As he comes down the front stretch, down to the line, and also does not have another lap counted, so he will not improve. Bob Kern out there, his most recent lap, not his quickest. A few drivers coming into the pits and abandoning their laps. Hugh Haycox has the provisional Spec 2 pole, and he's coming down to the final chicane himself. Just a few cars left to finish their qualifying laps. They are allowed to do this. Hugh sees he's got the pole. He knows he doesn't need to take it any quicker, so he comes into the pits. Murakami, on the other hand, sitting in 24th, gives it one last hurrah as he comes out of the wall of champions, down to the start-finish line. The 0-1 looking to improve on a 57.7, and he does not.
Antonio Rees, the next one to cross the line, right now sitting in 6th place with a 56.4. Can he improve? No, because that one didn't count.
And I see the next one is Kip Stevens, which he's already crossed the line. So that is going to end our qualifying. We got a big field to go through, so let's start through that, as there's not a long warm-up lap here. Daniel Sadro, as I mentioned, on the pole with Brett Holton in the very last lap of qualifying, managing to move into second place. Jerry McAreevy will be in P3. Miroslav Juracek on the outside of row 2 in the 4th position, with Austin Winter returning once again to start 5th. Antonio Rees, we watched him try to get faster, but just didn't pay off. He starts in 6th place. Cesar Manzato will be 7th. Pole sitter in the Spec 2 race, Hugh Haycox, 8th overall, followed by Donald Fitterer, which splits him and the next Spec 2 driver, which is Erwin Rothgrens, who starts in 10th.
Next up, the number 4 car of Ryan Walker sitting in 11th place, and to continue the trend, the next one is a Spec 2 class driver with Dominic Bureau sitting in 12th place. Ian Haycox, Spec 1 class driver, 13th, and then we have another Spec 2 class driver, that's Edward Doherty, sitting in 14th place on the grid. Nico Zhuk breaks the trend, he's 15th, and also Spec 2 driver Stevie Ray, the organizer of this league, sitting in 16th place. 17th on the grid goes to Samuel Dick. 18th is being taken by Brian D. Short. 19th, Jeff Jacobson, and Aaron Foley rounds out your top 20 on the grid.
Adam Bradshaw starts 21st with Pascal Montmorency, and 22nd. Then it's Paolo Brame in 23rd. Chris Murakami wasn't able to go any quicker. He'll stay with 24th, followed by Kellen Rhodes in the P25 spot. The outside of that row has Michael Shaw there in 26th. Jim McGill will be starting in 27th. Ramon Regalado, unfortunately, did not have the qualifying he wanted, as he expressed his displeasure in the chat. 28th for him. Emil Orza, 29th, and Bob Kern rounds out your top 30.
Tom Gradwell starts your top 40 drivers in 31st. Nick Carthy, 32nd. Zachary Levy, 33rd. Ian Wilson, 34th. Asa Numi, 35th on the grid. Jeff Cantor, 36th. Kip Stevens, definitely round, in 37th. Wayne Walker, 38th. 39th went to Whitney Strickland. Mats Joblom, last card qualifying, 41st. And Billy Bob Wright, he is 41st on the grid, but he will not take the green flag as he's not in the summer.
It's pretty good conditions out here as we wait for that pace car to take off for the rolling start. 72 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface, 69 air temperature. Nice and cool day here. Granted, probably not as cold as it is in actual Canada right now, even though they've set this in November. But iRacing has its limits on the temperatures. Now they start down the rowing lake along the back stretch up towards that last chicane. This chicane can be tough at the starts as well here, Steph, with it kind of forcing drivers to be too wide in a place where you don't want to be.
Well, most drivers go one wide. And also the thing is, the green flag comes out rather earlier than what you would expect. So expect Daniel Sutter to actually go quite early here on this start.
And he is sort of single file there with Holton. He's waiting a little bit, checking him up, coming out of that chicane. Oh, the cars are backing up quite a bit behind him. Green flag is out, and that's a good jump from Sadro. Brett Holton already looking like he might lose out to Jerry McAreevy, who manages to get to the inside, but he's got to finish the job as the track is going to swing back right into the hairpin. He's well ahead. I think McAreevy's got it. He's in a second place. Behind him, already Austin Winter looking for something on Holton. That doesn't work out, so Holton stays in third. Behind them, I'm not seeing any dramas yet. I think we're clean through. Down through 3 and 4. Sadro still leading McAreevy. Holton settles into third. Winter into fourth. I see some problems in the back, and I think it's Cesar Monsanto. He's off the racing line, so it looks like a single car incident.
Up ahead, though, Austin Winter stays the winner in that battle for 4th place. He did gain 1 position. Same with Gary McAreevy. Daniel Sutter, though, still running a little bit away with that lead over Gary McAreevy. Question is, though, how much can McReevy close in once we get onto the Casino Straight?
Yep, that'll be the place where probably the draft has its biggest effect out of Lepingle. And McReevy trying to push as hard as he can. Oh! Was there contact between himself and Holton there? It was awful close.
Great catch, though.
In fact, it almost looks like Winner is now bumping the back of Holton, trying to get a little bit of extra speed by running tandem here down the backstretch. And it might just work because he's pushing him forward by quite a bit now. Now he backs off. None of them managed to gain on Daniel Sadro as they hit the Wall of Champions the first time, but nobody actually hits the Wall of Champions among them. Instead, it looks like Holton with a bit of a run on McReevy. He pokes his nose out and then thinks better of it and comes back into the racing line. We have a problem with Chris Murakami here. We have our first victim of the Wall of Champions in the race. Not quite. He actually had some help. Looks like Jeff Jacobson tips him around there. That sends Murakami all the way down to 33rd position while Jacobson stays in 19th. Oh, and a problem for Holton now, and cars getting into him as they get turned around. Most everybody taking evasive action. That was Ryan Walker that ran into him.
That was more than just Walker running into him. Winner running into him. That was also Juricek and Haycox, and then also Antonio Rees had problems of his own through that third turn.
Watch from Winner. Did Winner touch him on the way in? Nope. It was clear there until there when he finally got him. And then unfortunately, Haycox actually turned him over. You could see there on the replay. They do have that spare car, so he can get back out, but the win is probably off the cards.
Well, he's at least stays a winner.
Well, Winner does, yes. I was talking more about Holton, but I get your point. Winner and Haycox with severe damage on the front of the car. You can see Juricek following both of them. Wonder if maybe he can use their slow top speed to get ahead. No, he's not interested. Oh, yeah, there he is. Excuse me. That was Bureau who was giving him a shove. It is down to the inside into the Wall of Champions from Juricek, and that's going to bump him up to 5th. We'll be 4th once our timing and scoring updates here.
I have news on David Gaspers as to why he is not in this race.
Yes.
Apparently, he went off the time that this broadcast was scheduled for, and at least for him, YouTube showed that it is starting in 1 hour, the broadcast, and that obviously doesn't work out. So he just wanted to join the practice only to find out that the race is already going for too long.
Oops. Well, as we see a little bit of action on screen, I think that was Doherty there that we saw. He's all the way up to 8th now as Fitterer goes by, but he's got Stevie Ray right behind him. Ray poking his nose in, thinking about a pass, but not a serious one. Stays back there in 9th.
Not gonna lie, all of this extremely good news for Daniel Sadras. All Carnage is a little bit breaking loose, at least a little bit breaking loose behind him. And now that gap is about 2.5 seconds back to Gary McReevy, and he is continuing to build that gap.
Sadro's starting to race a little bit like Gaspers here, just leaving everybody in the dust with no chance to catch him. There you can see the battle for second place. Well, not a battle, really. That's second place. Jerry McReevy and Shaw a lap down. Winner behind him has yet to pit and get that damage repaired. Gonna guess we're gonna see him in early. We've only gone through 5 minutes of this race so far.
Stevie Ray overtaking Edward Doherty for 7th place. Can he do it? Actually, sorry, 8th place. Yes, he does. Well before the chicane. And able to also avoid the Wall of Champions.
That's Rothgren's behind him. I think this is a new driver in this series. I'm not sure that we've seen Irwin racing here before. Irwin was a little bit under attack from Ian Haycox, but Ian decides better of it. Right now, our highest driver in the Spec 2 is Hugh Haycox, and he is up to 5th. A little bit of the look to the inside from Irwin on Edward Doherty. They're doing down into turn 3. As they come out of turn 6 down, or turn 5 rather, down into turn 6, they all accordion together. Stevie Ray still leading this train in 8th position.
A little bit behind them, there's also a massive train starting with Paulo Brem in 17th place and goes all the way down to Nick Carty, who is in 26th position.
You can see him up at the front, and Stevie Ray, he's off the side of the road in turn 9, manages to rejoin, I think without dramas here, but he's unfortunately going to be falling all the way down to 21st position from that.
Well, the drama for him, though, was all made by himself. Just a little bit too fast into that 8th place, 8th turn, and just spins it around, able to avoid the wall, and that's all she wrote.
And then we had more problems in Lepingle. This is Doherty. I saw him backed up. And Rockins, unfortunately, got turned around in front of him. They had nowhere to go. That could have been a lot worse as everybody else managed to go around them. So we come back live. Doherty still making moves, managing to get by Irwin. In fact, Irwin gets swamped with a horrible exit out of the Wall of Champions. Vaguely, Walker and Schuch all sneak through.
Yeah, 3 positions lost there in 1 turn. That's not what you want to hear. So Evan Rothkans in the very end across the start-finish line for the 4th time in 15th place.
Now watch them weave around the Senna S and down towards turn 3. Sadro's still your leader. Mac Reevy still in 2nd. Winner in 3rd, but they've all spread way apart from one another before we finally get anybody decently close to each other between Juracek and Bureau. And in fact, Hugh Haycox is challenging Bureau for 5th place currently. They've been joined by Donald Fitterer.
You know, one thing that the mistakes in behind their last lap all created was a little bit of a train that now starts in 8th place and pretty much, if you count in the draft distance, all the way down to 28th position.
No moves into Lepingle from these 3. Bureau ahead of Haycox, ahead of Fitterer. Can Hugh maybe potentially get himself a little bit of a run down the rowing lake as they start to pick up speed? 90, 100 miles an hour. They aren't super fast cars, but they're a lot of fun to drive. Right now, Hugh Haycock's looking to have some fun and get an overtake done, but I don't think he's got enough of a slipstream, even though he closes in slightly. Even behind him, Fitterer, who gets even closer, decides not to try and make a move this time through.
In behind, Samuel Dick just got past Ian Haycox. Once Samuel Dick got side by side with Ian Haycox, Ian Haycox did jump a little bit on the brake to make that passing a little bit easier.
Maybe just going to try and follow Dick through. And it looks like Rotkins is going to come in. 268 taking a stop. I think this will be within the pit window. Comes down to his stall, and I expect a new car to pop in. Well, if he finds a stall now, he does it.
I'm actually not sure if this is inside the pit window, but I should hope that Erwin knows what he does, so I would say yes, it is inside the pit window.
Well, maybe that's why he missed his stall. It was on purpose to kill some time, to save some fuel potentially. But regardless, you see Austin Winter and Juracek now have found one another for 3rd place. Winner, we know, has damage on the front. Trying to see if we can see any on the 84. Yeah, a little bit on the right front.
And
so those
to
two
be
both limping.
honest, this isn't only the battle between them, but what Miroslav Jurček also brought with him inside the draft range is Dominic Bureau, alongside Hugh Haycox, Donald Fitterer, Samuel Dick in 8th place, quite ways back, about 6 seconds behind them. So yeah, if they've continued to fight like that, like Jurček right now overtaking Austin Winner, those 3 guys in behind will be there rather quickly.
I think they are going to be there rather quickly because they just battled their way through the Wall of Champions, and they've come back at each other with Winner pulling an over-under. He's going to have the inside of the first apex, but that's not the end of the story here. He's got to finish it up before they get to the second apex. He chops him off. Winner taking the spot back, but he goes a little bit wide off the corner. Here comes Jurček back at him. How aggressive does he want to be this early in the race? Well, Winner wants to be aggressive as he once again covers off the inside, comes back to the racing line. And now he's finally settled that 3rd place. But you were right. Look behind them. If we could jump off board, Bureau is now within about 9/10 of a second. This is about to get spicy to settle out the last spot on the podium. Differing racing lines between 3rd place and 4th place. Winner initially cutting down low, maybe trying to break the draft from Jurček here on the backstretch.
And the car you see ahead of them, that is not Gary McCreevy, that's actually a lapped car, that is Michael Shaw, so don't get worried that Gary McCreevy all of a sudden lost quite a lot of time. No, that is just a lapped car.
Down into the hairpin, nobody ducking out of line yet again. Maybe waiting for the run here. Everybody trying to get on the throttle as soon as they dare. They all running a string down along the rowing lake yet again. Jurček starting to gain. Didn't work out last time. He's going to try it again, though. Winner on the outside. Jurček fully passed by the time they hit the braking zone.
Oh,
but he
and
outbrakes
also
himself. And he
also
is... Yeah, that's going to be a cut course penalty, and that's going to hurt. You can see everybody now already going by.
Miroslav Jurček fully passed Austin Winners, but also fully passed the entry for that last turn.
They knew it early and just decided to bite the bullet, unfortunately. Tried to serve it as efficiently as possible to not lose too much time. I see another taker for the pit stops. Nico Schuk is in. Oh, and no, this isn't scheduled. Excuse me. Schuk. Oh, we had a problem just recently in the Wall of Champions. Oh, but McCreevy, before we can get to that, 2nd place driver in the wall. How did he get there?
That is beyond my knowledge. I will actually need to replay there as we take you on to that.
Not to brake, but that almost looks like hard.
No, he did brake. He did brake, just... That looked like, I don't know, a brake failure. Because the car did brake, just not really any real brake force. And then about halfway through the braking zone, the car really started to brake. But obviously that was way too late.
Very unusual. Not sure what's going on there. They don't actually have brake failure in the sim. So maybe just missed things on his downshifts or something. That gave him significant damage on the nose. And he fell all the way to 25th with that as well. He sat there for a long, long time. I see Donald Fitter is going to get past Hugh Haycox, and it looks like Dominique Bureau is going to get past Winner. And in fact, Winner's going to head into the pits as Bureau continues on. I do believe that's Fitter as well who ducks in. Jurček joins them.
Very slow pit entrance for Austin Winners. He was actually pretty much on the pit limiter speed even before reaching that tire wall. So yeah, Austin Winner most definitely didn't really practice that pit in.
I think Stevie Ray is either slipping or finally changing things up because he's not the first in this time. Usually we would have expected him or Steve Elson to have pitted this early in the race. Down into the first corner, though. Lots of action here between Pablo Breme and Brian Short. They're trying to settle out ninth position just behind Kellen Rhodes.
Well, Stevie Ray is in the pit lane, so everyone who has pitted this lap, they are in the pit window, that's for sure.
So that answers that question on Stevie. He's back out and rolling. Our highest pitter right now is Winner. He's in 19th, and he actually beat Juracek out by quite a margin. So as we wait for the rest of the field to come on in, just about to the halfway point now. You can see that the drivers have spread themselves out somewhat. They've all kind of got their own little bit of racing space. Not necessarily the best thing for some drivers, maybe who are looking for draft help. Oh, and Hugh Haycox is in. Looks like our highest driver in Spec 2 taking a pit, handing that lead over to Dominique Bureau. You see the 294 of Edward Doherty coming in, trying to get himself a few repairs as well.
Oh, Austin Winner just collided with someone. That was a massive wreck in the last chicane, and I have no clue what really went down there.
Let's see on the replay. Oh, there was a 3-wide situation in front of him. And this started with Tom Gradwell and Cesar Monsanto. There you can see Gradwell in the yellow car, yellow and red.
Yeah, watch Jim McGill there go for quite the tumble. That's bizarre.
Just crazy stuff. And I guess that's why we don't see everybody pit early, because Winner wouldn't have been in that situation if he had just stayed out.
How close was that, though, for Tom Gradwell with Jim McGill? That was, I don't know how many centimeters there between him and Jim McGill. So Tom Gradwell most definitely with quite the code brown, but able to continue with a clean car.
See, he runs in 15th position, but he's yet to make his stop, so he'll lose a few since we've had a number of drivers come in already. I believe we've gone back to Winner now. Oops, excuse me, this is for 7th place. That's Paolo Brim and Brian Short. We were watching fight earlier. Short's going to try around the outside as they come down the backstretch. See if he can get this done. He's got a nose ahead. And earlier braking from Brame. Well, Aaron Vagley is around. Aaron Vagley in the Wall of Champions has got himself turned the wrong direction and gets it going once more. This is a single car incident. Wow, losing it on entry.
Yeah, just a little bit too fast, therefore, and Vogel spins it around. And then I think he actually, he chucked it into reverse real quick to get away from the racing line there. So smart move by Aaron Vogel.
Absolutely. Brian Short, we just caught a glimpse of him pitting as well, so that takes him away from that battle that we were watching with Brame. Meanwhile, we've kept with this battle between Monsanto, LeVay, Haycox, and Montmorency. Haycox, the only one in this group that has taken a stop and actually still our highest pitter. Manages to get by. That was for position, but again, LeVay still needs to come in for a stop. Probably why we didn't see him fight too hard. Does come back down, and Hugh Haycock staying defensive. There's a lift from Zach.
Hugh Haycock, he is the leader of the guys that have already pitted. He is about, let's see, 41, nearly 41 and a half seconds behind Daniel Sanders. Obviously, Sanders will come out in front of Hugh Haycock, who is now in 10th place.
Blue and yellow car you just saw going slow was Ramon Regalado. He got a slowdown penalty coming out of 8 and 9, which is why he was off the racing line and letting everybody through. So Hugh Haycock's now up to 10th. And I see Ian Haycock's in.
Yeah, the father coming in at the pit lane probably will stay behind, or most definitely will come out behind Hugh Haycock once he comes out again. So Hugh Haycock remains the leader of the pit cycle.
All right, Paolo Brim responds to what we saw before. That was Brian Short who came in, who was battling with him. Short is down in 21st, so I wonder where this is going to bring Paolo out to. The number 27 is in his stall. There's Short on track, coming down to the Wall of Champions himself. He can make it clean through. He could potentially have a good one here. 550 has the speed up. Paolo Brim looking to hit the cones. He's got a ways to go. It's a long pit lane down here. He finally gets out, but where is Short? Short is well past Brian, gaining a lot of time in that fight. Brim coming out side by side with Jeff Cantor. Cantor still needing to take his stop too. And hey, there's Jerry McAreevy running in 25th. He's following just behind Paolo Brim. This is for position. Both of those drivers have stopped. And looks like our leader is in. Dominique Bureau continues on. Samuel Dick in third. Kellen Rhodes running fourth currently. Still waiting on all those drivers to come in.
And you know what? It's actually interesting now that Sadro and Samuel Dick are in pit lane now. It is going to get interesting with all those split strategies, because right now I'm really starting to calculate. That's why I've been quiet so much right now. Because there are so many people and so many different strategies right now, and it's really hard to keep track of how far is everyone ahead of everyone else. And now that Daniel Sadro is in pit lane and Hugh Haycock still in second place after that pit cycle once again, that is now 14. 14 seconds about between Sadro and Hugh Haycock. So it looks more and more like the very early pit stop by Hugh Haycock, who nearly just has a tumble through the second chicane. Very lucky moment there for him in the background. It looks more and more optimistic for Hugh Haycock to actually make a huge jump from his position.
It is looking incredibly well for the 233 as we watch him just ahead of Ramon Regalado and Miroslav Juracek. You could see them a little bit in the background. Going to be a look to the inside from the 84. Juracek now takes 8th place away from Regalado. Oh, but he cuts the corner. He manages to get it back on, but he's going to have to give that back. And do we have a slowdown as well for Haycock? Haycock is offline.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure why he is slowing down so much, because he isn't having a slowdown. He didn't cut any of the curbs there, which makes you get that penalty. Maybe he acquired one earlier in the lap, but that's weird.
Yeah, no. Maybe he just got loose there, it looked like. It's a bit of an awkward line. It's not a French driver. He's a UK&I driver, just residing in France right now. Has got it going once again, and he is back by Ramon Regalado for 8th place. Maybe not. Nope, Ramon is just coming in.
Kellen Rhodes in pit lane 2, so more and more people are pitting now. Dominic Bureau, Emil Orsa, Cesare Manzato, Aaron Fugoli, and Kip Stevens, the last cars still needing to pit. So 5 cars remain still out there who still need to perform their pit stop.
Yeah, see Stevens, Vaguely, Manzato, and Orza continue on. Bureau's pretty far along in the lap at this point. Currently our leader. Sadro about 13 seconds back, but Bureau still has to take his stop. We should see him in here shortly with only 13 minutes left in the race. This is getting down towards the very end of that pit window. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised, Steph, if we saw everybody come in this lap.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't be surprised if everyone has to slot in behind Hugh Haycox, because he's 33 seconds behind Dominic Bureau, which in my calculations is just not enough for Dominic Bureau to stay ahead of Hugh Haycox. That obviously remains to be seen, but maybe that remains to be seen only for a few more seconds as Dominic Bureau makes his way under the Dodge Bridge. 300 yards, 200 or 100, and he is most definitely going into the pit lane. So questions will be answered now.
The good news for Dominique is that Hugh and Miroslav have been fighting down there in 6th and 7th, swapping positions a little bit this lap. Looks like Juracek is going to get another run on him. If they keep fighting like this, they're going to cost each other so much time that we might see Bureau ahead down to the outside along the rowing lake. Juracek has a nose ahead, but he's got to make sure not to blow the braking zone like he did a little bit earlier in this race. Woes it up nice and tidy through. No, not quite so tidy as he has to catch the car coming off of it, and Hugh Haycox gets it right back.
And Dominic Bureau is rolling, so this now gets interesting. Here comes Hugh Haycox. Obviously a longer line through that turn 1 as the pit exit cuts through that infield, and sure enough, Dominic Bureau with that fighting stays ahead, but Hugh Haycox, I think he has the better speed over Dominic Bureau, so it's gloves off in the fight for first place in the Spec 2 championship.
Oh, another big twitch from Juracek. His car does not look steady in these chicanes right now. Fitterer is going to try and take advantage, but he runs out of racing room. And here comes Winner. Winner streams through as soon as he sees Fitterer lift, but he'll have to the outside of the first apex, switching back to the inside of the next one. Give 5th place to Austin.
Yeah, Winner is the winner in the battle between Juracek and Fitterer, but Austin, not the capital of Texas, might still be under pressure from Fitterer. No, Fitterer is able, Austin is able to stay ahead of Fitterer.
Some shaky moves here at the top of the fields, and I think Regalado had a problem because I just saw him take a tow. Checking here on the replay, I think he just came to a halt though. Not seeing anything significant on the car. He blinks a couple times, and then he just pulls off. Wonder if it's just his computer or his internet acting up and he decided it wasn't safe to try and keep it out on track. Regardless, this sends Ramon Regalado well down the order, which is a shame because he wasn't doing too bad today. All right. We come across the line yet again. Everybody far behind Daniel Sadro. Bureau himself lost a lot of time in his pit stops, so it's about a 20-second gap up to the front right now as we ride on board with Austin Winner, watching Juracek and Haycox up in front of him. Interestingly enough, if Sadro does win today, this is his first win of the season.
Quite honestly, if he doesn't run into any problems or anything, Daniel Sadro is set to win this race. But it will get interesting for the second place because Hugh Haycox most definitely is catching Dominic Bureau, and he then has to be careful to not get steamrolled by Juracek, Winner, and Fitterer.
Come down into turn 8 one more time. Check not under attack from Winter this time through there. They've spread apart slightly, not nearly as close as we saw them a little bit ago. They come down to Lipingo. I think everybody's going to be focusing on an exit so that they can run down the 208 of Dominique Bureau. How about our Spec 2 driver here up in second place overall, going to be winning the Spec 2 race if he can stay here. Hugh Haycox is going to try and challenge him. So we'll essentially, if they stay put where they are, have 2 of our 3 spots on the podium go to Spec 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. They were knocking a few times already. Oh, late move by Hugh Haycox there on Juricek. Juricek now having to try around the outside of the first. Oh, they're both sliding.
They come together. They almost go in front of Winner, and Fitterer has to take evasive action. Horrible result for Haycox and Juricek, who wind up off track. Sam Dick also going to take advantage as we watch the replay.
And that is the reason why, if you're on the outside, always have to give up the position, because it always ends like that. It always will end in tears. Hugh Haycox, a little bit of a slide, so as Juricek, and both collide and both take themselves out of this race.
They both got it going once again, but Haycox runs in 6th, Juricek in 7th. Oh, excuse me, Ian Haycox is in 6th. There's 2 Haycoxes here. Hugh is down in 8th. He did lose the position. Oh, is Hugh actually damaged? He had a big wobble there coming through 3 and 4.
He's heavily damaged from this contact with Juricek. Not surprisingly. Woo!
That was Doherty and Rotkrins as well as Rhodes going by. And he was already past the pit entry, so Haycox could not go in there. He's got to drive a whole lap around, wobbling back and forth. Oh, jeez. Hopefully he didn't take his spare car at least, and you can just pop a new one out and get going. Can't imagine that Hugh is terribly happy after that. And did Doherty lose a position here? I see Rhodes ahead of him and Rotkrins through Lipingo. Must have been a mistake somewhere in there for Doherty. They're all still very cramped together. In fact, they're going to go 3 wide down the backstretch. It comes back to 2 wide as Rhodes slots in behind Irwin.
Watch for Rhodes, though. He's going to get the slipstream. He comes back, makes it not 3 wide. Gets cut off once again by Rotkant. Rhodes probably staying behind. Yes, indeed. Now it's against Doherty. A little bit side by side. And there we go. That's how you do it. Thank you, Rhodes, for showing that.
Doherty, though, lost a lot of time there, giving it up to Irwin. And I think Rhodes might be able to have a chance to make a pass down into 1. The Senna S offers opportunities sometimes, but it's not meant to be. Meanwhile, let's head up to 2nd place. Austin Winter has now caught the back of Dominique Bureau. Dominique probably regretting that time lost in the pit stops now, as he slides it a little bit through 6 and 7, which offers a great chance for Winter, who gets a better exit down the Riverside stretch under the bridge. He's to the inside down into turn 8. He's got to make sure not to outbrake himself, though, as they come into the corner, and he's good.
Dominique Bureau did brake there a little bit early. He saw the writings on the walls and decided it's not worth it right now to fight against Austin Winter, as after the Lipingo, there is a big straight coming up.
Could he maybe get him right back? At this point, this is the best they're going to settle for, because Sadro is so far ahead. Even with a mistake, Sadro could still come away with the win. And the laps are ticking down at 2 minutes each. We're looking at about 3 to go here. Riding in the slipstream, just following in his tire tracks. Bureau sizes up Winter. He reaches the rear end of that car and ducks to the inside. Is this one going to be clean? We've seen this not work out before. Winter backs out of it. Oh! Gets into the back, though, of Dominique Bureau on the exit with a big wiggle for the 208. Both of them doing a great job keep from losing the cars in that situation.
Yeah, that was very lucky from Piero. As Mats, they're running now up to Mats Sjöblom, who is a little bit lagging, at least on my side. So Mats running a little bit out of internet shoes, but hopefully that doesn't impede the battle that we're seeing here right now for second place. Austin, the winner, once again the same situations as Piero had with you Haycock's winner with more speed, but you still have to use that speed to get past.
Well, we got 31 drivers left of our 40 starters. Not as dire as I thought it would be in terms of attrition. Still quite a few that are out of this race. Once again, pulling up behind him. This time giving a little bit of a push there to Dominique. That is the lapped car of Matt Solblum, who's letting them through. Stays right with him. Austin Winter, once again, through the hairpin. Last time he was in the opposite position. He was ahead of Bureau. Can he pull the same move back? He gets a decent exit, and he's got the slipstream, but is he close enough? Because now a slipstream from Kip Stevens is going to be given to Bureau. Still an incredible difference in pace as Austin Winter comes up to the back, but he lifts.
One slipstream is good, but Winner had a double slipstream, and that is about 3 times as effective as a single car draft. So yeah, Winner most definitely had the better chances there, but obviously, as you saw, decided to stay out of this as we have 2 laps to go.
Might have a change for position in 14th. Orza and Walker down there side by side coming into the final chicane. They're coming up on lap traffic as well. That's Jim McGill in front of them.
Oh, Sadro! Very lucky break for Sadro out of the second chicane. Hits the inside curb, nearly goes for a roll. Keeps his car together, takes a shortcut penalty there. Continues on his drive.
Let's watch that once more. I mean, incredible heads up from the number 51 here. Wow. And doing it essentially in the grass and still coming away with it. That is great news for the 51 because he's going to get the white flag here very soon. We had a slowdown penalty for Rotkrins. We don't need to go to it. He's fallen down to 12th now. Unless he's damaged and just letting cars by. But it's a horrible end for Irwin's race as we watch the 51 head down into the wall of champions. It's been a long time coming this season for him. All he's got to do is complete one more lap to try and take his first win.
Here comes Austin Winner once again on Dominic Bureau, but this time the run is a little bit late. Still decides to go to the inside of Dominic Bureau. How is this one going to end for Austin Winners? Both break late. Dominic Bureau stays with him, but Austin Winner comes out ahead.
But now he's got to try and pull away. Bureau could still get the slipstream right back and take that second spot down in the last corner of the race. We'll see how aggressive he wants to be. Bureau falls back slightly, though. He's 7/10 now behind. Oh, and Sam Dick must have miscalculated fuel because he is in the pits. Oh, man. He came into this lap, I think, within the top
Same
5.
thing for Erwin Rotkans. He's out of fuel, starting on the backstretch, and he's so slow he's not going to make it back. Has to tow his car.
That's why he was going slow before. He didn't put enough in. Wow.
Oh, in turn 1, Stevie Ray got hit by Emil Orsa, who got hit by Ryan Walker. Front-to-end contact on all 3 cars, as now Orsa tries to go past Stevie Ray, but has to stick back on to Orsa, nearly losing his car. Whew.
That was a good catch there.
Oh, Stevie!
Oh! Stevie Ray into the wall, and he collects Walker with him. Oh, goodness. Last lap, and neither one could manage to keep it on the track. As Sadro, who's not only kept it on the track, he's even kept it down to 4 wheels, especially when he needed to. As he comes down the backstretch into the final chicane, even though he doesn't have his main rival here, this is still probably going to be sweet for the number 51. Took him all the way till round 10 to finally get a win this season. Considering he's in second in the championship, this was a much-needed boost. Daniel Sadro with the victory today. Austin Winter has left Bureau behind. Austin Winter going to take second place after a fabulous last lap to manage to pull a gap and keep Bureau from challenging him, who winds up in third. Down in 7th place, though, McAreevy on his climb back through the field with Kellen Rhodes with him. How is this going to work out? Defending to the inside, McAreevy going to make it difficult. Kellen Rhodes could go for the over-under.
Not like that, though.
But he screwed that one up.
Oh, Orso in behind. Ooh, hard over the curves. So Gary McAreevy takes the P7 ahead of Kellen Rhodes. Emil Orso is going to take P9 ahead of Cesare Monsato.
I believe this is Bream and Kern who are trying to figure out 13th position. Kern's going to have a little bit of a run, but is it enough of one? It's going to be close at the line, and no, he's just shy.
Jeff Jacobson overtakes Out of Fuel Tech Releve for 15th place.
And I think Samuel Dick is getting some help from Montmorency. Did Sam still not put enough fuel in? He still didn't put... This is for position as we see cars coming up behind them. Murakami is going to be able to get by. And Cantor is also for position. Wow. Someone needs to get Samuel a calculator.
Here comes Wilson. And that means that Pascal Montmorency is going to be the last car on the lead lap.
That's going to round out our field crossing line. But we're going to look at a replay. Well, we'll let him finish while we watch this replay of Stevie Ray and his incident. Did he just clip the wall or what? It looked fine at first. And my view was a little bit obscured by the bushes.
Yeah, he's gonna clip the wall, and that's gonna send him a little bit sideways once again into the wall, and then all mayhem breaks loose from there.
You saw it right there. You just picked the wrong side, Ryan. Gets right into him. Both of them falling well down the order. So we'll come back and give you that order pretty soon as the sun goes down here over the Isle Notre Dame. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around because you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We just watched round 10 here for the Weekend Warriors, and Daniel Sadro has finally gotten his first victory. Behind him, how about Austin Winter going from 5th to 2nd? And there was quite a bit of action that he saw there in that second pack, even though he was nowhere close to Daniel since the start of the race. Dominique Bureau came home just behind him. Even though Dominique fell back a little bit on the very last lap, still I think he'll need to be happy with that third because he started in 12th himself. Donald Fitterer with a 4th place here today, with Ian Haycox coming home in 5th. By the way, that was Bureau who won the Spec 2 race today. Miroslav Juracek finished in 6th position. Jerry McAreevy, P7. How about Kellen Rhodes, 25th to 8th? Then he gets one-upped. Emil Orza, 29th to 9th. And Cesare Monsanto rounds out your top 10.
Brian the Short started in 18th place, finishes in 11th with his number 550. Aaron Fugoli, he started in 20th, finishes in 12th place, so good result for the 247 driver. Paolo Brem finishes in 13th. Bob Kern started in 30th, finishes in 14th. Jeff Jacobson, 15th for him in the results. Zachary Bay, 16th. Edward Odie, 17th. Tom Gradwell finishes in 18th in the end. Ryan Walker, 19th. And 20th on the results page here will be taken by Chris Murakami.
Jeff Cantor came home 21st, and then it's Asa Numi in 22nd, seeing him get positions at the end. Ian Wilson in 23rd, and Sam Dick somehow coming in twice for pit stops and still winding up 24th and running out of fuel. Getting some help from Pascal Montmorency there in 25th. Nick Carty with a P26 today. Stevie Ray, the first car a lap down in the 27th spot. Erwin Rotprins in 28th was followed by Kip Stevens. Not the best rejoin that I think he would have liked to come back to this league. 29th for him, and Matt Solbloom 30th.
First car to not finish this race is Hugh Haycox down in 30th. After starting in 8th place, you will be most definitely disappointed. Jim McGill finishes in 32nd. Ramon Regalado gets scored at 33rd. Michael Shaw 34th. Nico Schuck 35th. Wayne Walker 36th. Then Brad Holton, very disappointing race for him. 19 laps down, started in 2nd, finishes in 37th. Antonio Rees 38th, Witness Strickland 39th, Adam Bradshaw, the last car to be scored with having raced some laps, in 40th, and Billy Bob Wright not taking the green flag all the way down in 41st.
We've got our winner ready to talk to us, Daniel Sadro, after finally taking his first victory of the season. Dan, how does it feel to finally be on the top step?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, I had a couple other opportunities earlier this season, and just could not make the best of them. And this one felt good to finally make it.
You certainly seem to have put yourself in a good position since early on. At what point did you manage to get yourself to relax a little bit, considering you were up to about a 20-second lead by the end? Or did you never really find yourself able to relax?
Well, unfortunately, when Jerry had his accident or whatever, I can't wait to see what happened there. Because he and I were roughly matching times, and once he fell off, then I was able to relax a little bit and just try and put in some reasonably safe laps. With one exception, I just kind of relaxed to the end.
Obviously, the drop weeks kind of keep David Gaspers in things, even though he missed today. So I'm not sure that you'll gain any on this 63 points back that you are. So what does that do for you going into the last two rounds? Do you not just think about it in the last two and just go have fun?
Yeah, no, I don't generally think about championships that much. I just come in to race and have fun, and each week, it's really not going to affect how I approach the next couple of weeks.
Well, while we've got you, who made today's win happen for you?
I will thank Gaspers for not showing up. That helped. No, it was. I mean, Gaspers has always been really, really helpful to me, and that he's the big part of the reason why I am up here. So I do thank him for his help. But yeah, him not being here was probably the biggest factor in me being able to be the victor.
Well, that's Daniel Sadro, our winner here today. A very honest driver, but obviously there's great camaraderie between our competitors out here. Dominique Bureau winning the Spec 2 race and getting on the podium. Steph is going to be talking to him.
Well, Dominic, great race from you throughout the race, and then sadly only just about not coming up with the second place. Still, you must be very happy with that third place.
Oh, I'm very happy. I'm not really sad. Austin is a really fast driver. I could have blocked him in that last lap, but he would have went by anyway.
Well, a very fair driving from you then. But yeah, you gained 9 positions altogether. You had, after the first pit stops happened, a very quiet race. What was your thought process driving so alone all those laps until you made your pit stop?
I'm used to be alone, mostly in the middle of the field or at the very end, so I don't know what happened today, but it was like usual. I was all alone doing my own thing, and apparently I'm one of the few that didn't crash anywhere, so I guess that paid off.
Well, going ahead, you are going to be racing at Okayama in the Spec Racer Ford. How will that momentum that you just gained here in Montreal translate into the race at Okayama?
Well, I kind of like Okayama. I mean, it's the same kind of technical corner. It's just that you don't have like those very long straight. Well, you do have some, but it's not as obvious as in Montreal. It's the kind of track that I like, so I guess I'm gonna do just fine over there also.
Well, Dominic, third place and winning the Spec 2 class here today. I think this is also the first podium of a Spec 2 driver in at least 2 seasons, if not even 3. So, yeah, congrats on that big accomplishment here today in Montreal, and hope we see you again on the podium next week.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm gonna go crack the champagne right now.
Well, that was a very happy Dominic Bureau finishing third place in today's race. And Joe, sadly, nobody else wants to talk to us today.
No, but I can understand why Dominique wants to crack the champagne. That was his home race, as he is Canadian. So that one probably meant something to him. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor for this series. A huge thank you to Sim Stickers. If you want to check them out, you can find them at simstickers.co.uk. And also, of course, we want to thank iRacing, not just for this awesome simulator, but for putting us on the iRacing Esports Network. Subscribe. It's very easy. Just click the big red button that says subscribe, and then you'll get all of the IESN in your YouTube feed. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today as well, Steph, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com or check us out on social media. Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. Next race, as we mentioned, hopping over to Japan for Okayama. That'll be Sunday, November 24th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.